Visual aids are a great idea and can be a real benefit for you while you're speaking to an audience. That is, until the visual aid actually gets in the way of what you're saying. Hi, I'm Hall of Fame shortstop Teddy Slides Wellman. You're probably wondering, how did I get the nickname Slides? Well, I always made sure that when I made a slide, I did it the right way. Today I'm going to show you how to make good, safe slides. Let's take a look at them now. Setting up how your slides are going to look is very important. After all, it's the visual aid. You want to get the audience looking at the slides so you don't feel the pressure of people staring at you. So, when you're getting ready to make your slides, you kind of want to plan things out first. Start by formatting your font. Remember, this isn't a paper you're writing, so you need to have a font size that is large enough for people in the back of the audience to read. Also, you want to pick a font style that isn't difficult to read. Stick to fonts like Arial and Times New Roman. Stay away from wackier fonts like Indie Flower or Syncopate. Next, you need to choose a background because a plain white background is boring, and you don't want your visual aid to be boring. Instead, pick a color you like, or one that kind of goes along with your speech topic. So, if you're talking about the rainforest, maybe a shade of green would be a good idea. Or, if you're talking about pollution in the ocean, maybe choose a bluish hue. One thing you absolutely don't want to do is use an image for your background. Pictures and images will make your words difficult to read, so don't use pictures for backgrounds. Once you've settled on a background color, you need to choose a font color, one that works with your background. If you can't find a font color that's easy to read on your background, you may need to go back and choose a different background color. One thing you don't want is for your audience to not be able to read the information on the slides, or strain their eyes looking at your visual aid. Darker colors on a light background usually go pretty well together. You might just play around with the colors and find what you like and see what works best for your presentation. Okay, so now that you've gotten everything formatted, it's time to start putting text and pictures or charts and graphs that you want to use in your presentation. When you start typing in your slideshow, you're not simply putting everything from your typed speech on the slides. That's no good. You want to summarize the main points from your paragraphs into bullet format. That way, you won't have too many words for the audience to read. Keep your bullet points nice and concise. It's always a good idea to include pictures to make your visual aid more interesting and not just a string of words. Pictures, charts, graphs, and possibly even silent video clips for the audience to look at while you're talking will really enhance your presentation. Just make sure that when you put pictures and such in your presentation, you think about organization. You don't want to put pictures way down or way up in a corner. It'll look like the picture's going off the slide. You also want to avoid a picture that's too far away from your text, that looks like it's floating in space. This can happen if you have a picture that's too small or you don't have a lot typed on your slide. Once you've imported a picture or a graph, take a moment to look at its placement. If it feels strange, you probably need to move it somewhere else. You might be wondering how many slides you should have in your presentation. Is 3 enough? 10? Well, the answer is likely somewhere in the middle. A good rule of thumb is to have at least one slide for each paragraph of your typed speech. You might have enough information in a paragraph where you need to spread the information over 2 slides, or you might have some slides that are just pictures of what it is that you're talking about in your presentation, but nobody wants to sit and look at 50 slides. Your audience is going to get bored. Sometimes you might make a title slide, but that doesn't really count as part of your presentation. Finally, you might be tempted to create fancy transitions. Let me make your life a little bit easier. You don't need fancy transitions. In fact, you don't need any transitions at all. If you insist on using transitions, make sure you pick one and stick with it throughout your presentation. And make sure the transition is quick. If your transitions take too long, you'll create an awkward pause. If I were you, I'd just avoid using transitions altogether. So that's it. Pretty simple stuff. Put some effort into your slideshow presentations to make them helpful for you and your audience. And don't forget, Mr. Smith is going to be grading your slides to see if you followed my instructions.